Without negative passion put to the test in socially destructive activity, revolutionism inevitably degenerates into rhetoric and becomes a disgusting lie. Bakunin. A disgusting lie. Sing like a cuckoo in crisis. This remix remastered your tremulous failure. The legal country is not the real country. Yet here we are, bulletproof, gutless, organizing our placid grief into sound bites, insipid and victimized. Meanwhile, the border, its dead hospitality hangs a passive skin from us. Lay wreaths in lieu of welcome to a long playing record of bird song effects. Bad day. An algorithm expresses its sympathy with my frustrations and concerns. Is this really happening? A monstrous pleasantry dies on my lips. England, land of hope and fake gregarious eyrie. Which footage of Selfridges smouldering in the hard gratuitous light of 1974. It is affluence inverted, a soft leather grotto, these halls of mortified sublime. Crime seen already, but nobody says this. Someone will suffer, will be made to suffer. Erects a Gothic outrage, beats my grandfather with sticks. Police. And the task force liveries of absolute farce, mannequins pursue their morally decadent policy, debauched by smoke. This is a revel sing, this is a reveille, this a revile. All my syndromes of refusal say something long-winded and vicious, go on. And I dream of Joe, a disjointed masturbatory reverie. We're doing it on the broken glass, on the fraudulent proverbs of wealth, to the taste of tear gas, to the sound of Oxford circus, respectable, imploded, to the doomed blandishments of liberals, petty fuck platitudes spiking my drinks with their empathy. I dream a London sky, both dewy and censored, little lights, little cold electric legions. What's not to love? The city, a vast crematorium. Fuck like you write, to expel an addiction. Gussie the tongue into gaudy reproof against power, against the stainless pretend that passes for pleasure. Darling, disaster reality, daylight come and the war is a suitcase shy of escape. I helped house cats and dogs despite sirens. Everything was lawful and offensive. We have outsourced suffering to Eastern Europe. Supplanting the weak suction of mouths, dutiful careerists crowding a teat and weaselly. It's greed, not hunger, that sharpens your teeth. Oh, violence, pious and without mercy, sorcery for the blighted. We built this city, we can tear it down. Scavenge the comely gloom for cheap thrills, whatever's left, for capital, wretchedly perfected, Priti Patel, you winsome cyborg, the mortuary slang of your self-absorption, Thatcher franchise, millennial reboot. Shout out to the boys in the band, heartthrobs of hirsute fatigue sewn into their black balaclavas, incriminated dreamboats, sexy little mascots. Hughes lives on as a carnal zombie. That's the how's it going of soft power, lads. All our rage redeployed as period costume, as porn. Don't fuck me on a pile of dirty money, Joe. Fuck me amid the excrements of consumption and the dust of residual culture with a sweetheart malevolence always. Nights gone viral with desire, the dead return to berate you, you and your cautious sigils of disclaimer. Your face is a refund, I mean your future, paranoid and tranquilized. The collective is a process. Don't you understand anything? The enemy is non-material. The enemy is immaterial because we are living in a material world and I am immaterial, girl. The eye spills its vitreous humour, the accumulated weight of funny ha-ha, frustrations and concerns. Bad day. My qualifications feebly hoard say I was better off. See the boudoir turn charnel, my captive sex like so much acid reflux. Was I better off to wall up my tongue like a scanty nun, do a spiteful modesty, modestly, us jippos, us cancelled vagabonds? Here's to my tricks, they rent, extorted and torn, and pushing his cold repulsion down my throat. He said, if you do not have this view, I cannot help you. Arseholes sterilised in rice wine, arseholes wincing in vinegar, arseholes like picked locks, us cunts is a meadow, sectarian roses. Are you there, Cambridge? It's me, St. Margaret of Antioch, smashing devils in the head with his hammer, except the devils are whack-a-mole and their bludgeon the futile, repetitive tasks of capital. It would never have worked. My curriculum vitae is full of Jack Roll and Pennyweight. It's full of homicidal melody. Darlings, take this post-apocalyptic dick pic and shove it, by which I mean both the job and my desire for the job, because fuck me too for wanting that job, for wanting to live inside your bourgeois afterglow fiercely idiot. I have been weak and money my most caressing felony. Bind me with delicate verdicts, make of my convictions consensual gauze. Yes, I believe that God is more than the male gaze, is all my steadfast alphabets of gold. God is where meaning exceeds the phrase. God is the sword exceeding the hand that holds it. My body has been subtle frontiers, voided thoughts. Call it my quim as an anxious glyph and conny-quaint. Little even inside of violence does this trouble you. It should. Woman as self-winding shroud, the alchemical symbol for dejection. A hole inside a hole inside a hole. My point is, how can we reclaim the night when our bodies do not belong to us? Whose streets? I'm afraid not. And all of your middle class pissy hat bullshit will not help us one single iota. Sorry, not sorry. My point is, God was beside me in this gilded ditch, those years of cannibal sobriety when the academy did not help. Was Danny Dyer's mind palace multiplied depravity, sent passive-aggressive sects in a comic font? Years I was convex with fever, marbled with erudition. I was hapless and sarcastic in the face of their fatuous exertions. London was burning and us sluts screwed out of culture, screwed into jobs, chucked like a Happy Meal toy. My point is, I took up his hammer. I took a hammer to the hymen. I took lyrics bitter libidinal between my teeth. I went from university to university with my shame on my back, going giss a job with mounting desperation like Yosser and boys from the black stuff. My point is, there is no grief louder than headline or the neoliberal plain song of advert, the profane strophes of consumer melancholy. Are you there, Cambridge? It's me, the restless ghost of Valerie Solanas. Do you believe our task is still terrible, total, universal, etc. destruction? First, against the prosody of ego, the crowd-pleasing regimes of the self. If not, how about a blowtorch, fuckboy extremities ransomed by fire? Sickening wrecks unite. Come file your teeth, appetizers of bone. The city comes in waves, poor worker bee, it's clinical now. Impossibly partitioned lives, an ideal doom, the sleepy grief of airports, coffee boils the tongue, both fidgety and numb. Concentric rings of nausea running through the roots of teeth, remembering to breathe, remember to set the reminder to answer the alert. My sucked thumb is a jackknife life of tiny cancers, panting humiliations, things my doctor told me. Here, that acetate apology for Sky, carousels and paperbacks, the Telegraph, the Daily Mail are structures of exchange and riot. The tabloid bears a politician's face, equally meek and horrible. All the pain a spar day will not solve. Ministers of state, punitive and spoilt in the blank verse of their slogans, death warrants signed in a cursive script with a turd emoji, and yo, this too is language. So in response to your text, no, not happy, at best, I'm groomed and sated. is a people's tempo, tent revival. Ooh, heaven is a place on earth as Radio Jackie drills down into the soft tissue of my critical thinking. Disclosures, disclaimers, infringement or infraction. A man of adverse appetites forcing his trickle-down grin between the ribs of an underage girl. Boris Johnson, vivisected Cupid. May Queen and the sinister detergent of party political. The thwart swine sticker, kneading his nausea into television homily. A parade of fucking horribles. Oh man, let them eat WhatsApp. Let them eat gold identikit croissants, the fussy black necrotic jaws of matchstick girls. Let them eat Downton Abbey, royalist subreddit forever to be profiled and filed, trafficked in and captured, movements mapped to be the vector and the spread. No language here but currencies. Coffee, paid for with plastic. Visa, flag of my failed state declined. In the queue we do Brexit at each other. Faces terraforming long haul mouths to, oh, a child's eye, all glint and peak, flashing like a hazard light left on. See the lovers in the scare quotes of a dead embrace. A woman whose lips move as she reads the prenuptial small print, walking round and around this flat earth stunt republic. My face is scanned and graphed into white, symmetrical territories, fountains, kiosks, plazas, vacant and fabulous, an ad hoc model of itself, my face. Stand in line, refracted, figured out, prefigured, faked, seek consolation, scrolling screens, teleprompted, blonde talks, epoch, into tundra, purring and viable preems, his sanitary plumage rolls phonetic mess from out the dirty atlas of our loss. Contempt is spread across a convex lens. Security men wear menace like rented tuxedos, obedient yet cynical. You are glued to your phone and stiff with a very dignified fear when I find you. The screen says dead police and the terror. These architects of tumult shoot to kill. The dead don't vote. To shop instead of grieving flesh in exile. Touch your shoulder, raising a rash. Political beauty. Did you hear me between the hammer blows? Conspiracy is a wound made in theory. Today my conscience is a crossroads. Today my conscience less a cricket than a locust wastrel of the wheat smeared across a windshield. To be or not, a leprous ghost in their palisades. Flaccid materialists, coin-operated suburbanites. The woman who compared her uterus to a drone strike in a tedious poem that went on for fucking hours. Not language, but its excruciating substitute. I fuck the almonds in Waitrose and try not to think about it. People keep saying, we cannot imagine. People on the internet impotently pierced by some new reality, but we can imagine. Us do nothing but imagine our footsteps methodically erased from memory at the food bank, haggle for blankets at the border. You don't know what you did, you principled thugs, lubbers of some normative handjob empire. Selfridges on fire. Harrods on fire, Westminster on fire, and nobody was very sorry. I mean, the slack radiance of morning between warehouses beside the canal, the cranes. I mean, I can imagine fucking war, all right? You and your prefabricated inanities, you and your sumptuous obligations to nothing, you and your vapid simpatico with nothing, you and your liaisons dangerous with nothing, you and your sick effective, your footnotes to defeat in the haunts of hanging judges who ride to hounds, who sit in diplock goons at a curfew's turnstile, gavel wheeled amid signals, as is sensible, on quiet intensity, a scream. The North has absentee ecologies, ghost factories, a kind of psychosomatic industry. This dream of a past, one morning caught in a fold of ice. Gutter snowmelts, succulents, a radio decently jesting. We rise because we can. How coffee holds my grievance trickled in a cup, how tea will tend the mellowed wound, and yes, the masculine crisis, the capable territory, everything you parse as toxic. Walk The north is kilting up its skirts of foggy tweel. Soon the dewy pricks of spring climb the battery, the rampart up through mist, the slow ills of centuries. River and revenant spate waste of fair maids, Mary's tapers, dogs, troubadours of moping posies stir themselves to stramash into wonderlust copse as green as any seasoned bitch, precarious worker. Rise to be smitten, riven because we can, cupping your mouth like a candle. I want it to be English. Privileged, productive and wanting means we cannot disown this war. What if this were disaster's Sabbath, black carbonous sky refusing itself, all our limp salutes forsook, shook off this lavish, aimless hour, at least no more than peevish dread appeased by furs, by bright light bandied between branches, stone chats, little argonauts of thorn, linnets in the boozy heist of berries, cheats and thieves. Exchange our escapades for protocols, pointing fire at where it hurts, learn a stricter pity. O hour the wolf, O lupine agenda, animal pain, backmasked into desolation, up the moon, up the Ra, whatever. I wear my shame in shelter, Angerlund, the tippling packs of monsters sink us all, and only the money will ever come clean. We have this day, this gauze, these goals, this having been approximate to courage, small cargo of mortified gold, but once yellow fist and triumph fast against the blue, inscrutable communion where beauty is both threatened and obscene. We call our joy resistance, and we rise because we must never come weeping to witness in the presence of a pain so much greater than your own. Don't count on anything today. A feather pillow forms around the barrel of a gun, slaughtered chicks of slight return. When the bullet is the ballot, the popular vote. Reading Pasolini, I need the languid imperatives of desire to be a communism too. Woe shrine, clinically adverse to joy. If we honor our dead with unrepentant miserabilism, our revenants are quick lime luminous. They weaponize success with very white teeth. Do this fatalist pratfall both humiliating and stage. Their spines are strung tight with prayer. These rows of voided windows walk, dead like a Catholic lounge act, dead like rosettes of prophet pinned to their skulls. Oh, hyacinth, spring's recidivist foppery sectioned into sunlight in a gridlock flatland of tragicomic fret wank on netlips. We script pig forces, reptile nest, the grace of pills, his dullards woo. There's an eye in the eaves, an ear, dollar, endearingly always the expedient almighty. This is not what I mean by God. Something affixed to this formula, his continuous mouth lights the way. But these are bonzo pleasures, the sawdust waka of Muppet apologists. Their policy is hornet lazy, little sting routine left now really. These recoil queens resplendent under inquest sweat, like a bad tattoo in cling film ready to this rocking. An empire, an eclipse, collapse, the supremacist refrains of contemporary poetry. Oh, dull baby to a dry lynching. God was the sweat brightness riding the house through clean danger into daffodils. The sun, it eats us with interest. Our thorny halting gimp step through these failing seasons, peasants in his feudal index, a smile like strained mud, and the world is dying. He is laughing and laughing. It's not jokes, but the wind apart tweets. Is there Vlad? Vlad who, we say, but who else? Talk yourself out of your tallow, out of recession's damsel onesie, his skin made of malingering hubris. What does it mean to mouth a Marxist nicety standing together? You don't know what that is. I imagine the war. How it keeps coming back and we run, rabbit run, the flourishing scut of fear. This gashed port supplies the storm. The conscience, like some harrowing toad in a kingdom, still after all these years hid in the skirts of the mother who whipped us with a silver hairbrush. Our revenants awaking, walking, escalating their tactics, want neither honor or revenge, want negative passion. Do not go gentle into rhetoric, poet. Pare the world like an apple with a blade of absolute love. Cheers.